Okay. What we're really talking about is a particular system in the body that is called the lymphatic system. And this whole system or network of, I guess you call them vessels, they're very much similar to blood vessels. They lie just below the skin, okay? And its major function, it goes throughout the body. In fact, when you look and map out this lymphatic system, it's 3 times larger than what the blood circulation system is, okay? So it's really quite widespread throughout the body. And one of the things it does is obviously it has fluid in it, but if you look at it very carefully, you see there's something missing, which is present in the blood circulatory system, and that is a pump. When you look at blood and see how it moves throughout the body, it moves with the assistance of the heart, which is really a pump. The blood goes in, it gets oxygenated, and then it pumps out to the rest of the body. So whether you're lying down, standing up, sitting down, the blood circulates very effectively because of this pump. The lymphatic system, although it's more widespread than the blood circulation system, it doesn't have a pump. So it purely relies on gravity and really passive transportation of the lymph fluid throughout the body. So you can imagine without a pump, when you are sitting down, you know, the gravity, and especially if you're with your knees bent, there is a great resistance for that lymph fluid to move. And that is why, for example, and I think many of you will relate to it, you travel so much, is the fact that after about 6 to 7 hours on a plane, on a flight in a plane, your ankles swell up, you know, it gets enlarged. And it's because the lymph fluid is starting to accumulate and pool at the bottom of your feet. It just cannot move up. So, and you can now begin to appreciate, I hope, that this lymphatic system is very dependent on gravity to circulate throughout the body. So how does it move? One of the things that it does very well is that since they're on the pretty in close proximity to the muscle is really the contraction of the muscle throughout the body is the only way the lymph fluid can move, right? So when you're standing up and if you're walking, you're obviously exercising your calf muscles and some of the thigh muscles. And in addition to obviously help you to walk, that contraction of the muscle starts moving the lymph fluid up to the upper body where it needs to go, because that's where the reservoirs are, and that's where all the lymph fluid would accumulate, and it will then get distributed throughout the body. All right. So this is the key thing. If you don't exercise or you don't walk enough, your lymphatic system is being affected in a negative manner. So it's fairly remarkable. You can see, you know, this is just a graphical representation. The green lines show how the lymph is so much more widespread than compared to the red lines, and that's the blood circulation, together with how they're all eventually being connected to the heart. So, unfortunately, when you look at a lymphatic system, though, what we have learned is the fact that it's like any other aging phenomenon. It gets weaker and more sluggish over time, right? And that is because some of your vessels are not so, they sort of tend to deteriorate when you get older. And therefore, the lymph is already suffering from the lack of a pump with less vessels, lymphatic vessels around. Then the fluid cannot go to all the different areas of the body. So you can also imagine, as you get older, our muscles will also get weaker. So the combination of those two things happening during the aging process will tend to get the lymphatic system get weaker over time. But that's not just the age, right? When you look at our modern lifestyle, what do we really do? I mean, for the next hour, all of us are sitting down here, listening to me chatting away and yakking away, and we're not moving, right? And in fact, this is not the only opportunity or only time during the day where you have or you had been sitting down. Some of you in Asia, you're just waking up, I think, and it's likely that you won't be exercising as much as you should be. And then if you go on a flight, again, that reduces the opportunity to exercise and move your lymph system. So all these things in aggregate comprise our modern lifestyle, and that becomes a challenge, right? Our muscles are not moving, therefore our lymphatic system doesn't move. So what do we do? So the lymphatic system, there are like three important functions. I already mentioned the importance of the fluid moving throughout the body. Why is that important? It is the only transport of immune cells to where they are needed. Okay, the immune cells come out from the blood or come out from the tissues and so on to get into the lymph, and that's how they get transported throughout the body. If the lymphatic system is not moving, obviously you can see the immune cells cannot get to the so-called site of action. There's a second equally important function of the lymphatic system. It's almost acting as the sort of sewage system for your body. And the reason why I call it a sewage system is because the toxic metabolites that are being produced during our normal and regular metabolism, they've got to get away, right? So, and once again, the lymphatic system is the system that has been developed by the body to get rid of all those natural toxic byproducts that are being produced during metabolism or the normal functioning of your body. And a good example of that, and this has nothing to do with, but just to show you the importance of the toxic metabolites and why it is so critical they don't build up, is the fact that the kidneys, the organ that we all realize will eventually get rid of toxic metabolites in the body, either through urination, right? So if your kidneys are not functioning and they're not excreting these toxic metabolites, most of these patients will have to go for renal dialysis. In other words, they got to take out their blood to go through a blood purification machine before returning the blood to the body. So you can imagine that similarly, under the normal processes that we function, all the biochemistry that happens in the body, we need the lymphatic system to function effectively as a detoxification system. So there's a second one. Now, there's a third one that's also interesting, and it is not apparent to anybody, but when the fat tissue, when we are losing weight, there is a need for those fat tissue that's being released, or the fat cells, or all the fat is being released during your weight management or weight loss process. They have to be transported away. And once again, the lymphatic system comes into play during those conditions. All right. So this device that we have, I'll show you the actual picture of it, but I wanted to show you the graphical representation of these nodes, we call them. All right. These are metallic nodes. They're specially designed to be in close contact with the skin. And when you rub it across the skin, it actually will also rub the lymphatic system to keep it moving. All right. So this is a special design that our engineers have come up with that provides the most efficient massaging, if you will, of the lymphatic system. So keep that in mind. That's the sort of the architecture or the structural design of this new device that we are going to launch next month or so, or over the next second half of this year. It also conducts an electrical current, very much like that what you are used to, like the galvanic spa or the recent boost H-lock boost facial system and so on. The current is different though, but it's still an electrical current that needs to be present in this device, because the electrical current also helps to stimulate the lymphatic system, because the gel, in order to conduct electricity, the device, right, you have to put the gel on the skin and then put the device in contact with the gel to conduct electricity. And while it's doing that, it will deliver, or it will get the active ingredients that we have in the gel into the skin. And that also contributes to the overall health benefits that one gets from this particular device. So the electrical current is also quite important for the optimal function of this WellSpa. We call it a WellSpa IO. Now, think about it. This is also quite important. Finally, I think we are beginning to see the incorporation of this IO is a smart device, because the IO element or the IO component in this that we have built into this device helps you to monitor how well you're using this device throughout your body. It will constantly adjust on the pressure and whether you're in constant contact with the skin, because if it doesn't, it will automatically adjust to make sure that the device is functioning. All right. And we couldn't have done it before without the IO component. With the IO component, we can achieve that particular result. And because importantly, although when we look at our skin, it looks smooth and it's level, but it really isn't. It's actually quite up and down, and it's undulating, we call it. And we have to make sure that the electrical current that we are delivering is being delivered all the time. Now, another thing with the help of the IO is to make sure that when you use it at certain parts of the body here, and I illustrate down on the calf, that you are actually massaging or moving the device upwards. All right. Because if you move it in a circular fashion or moving it downwards, it will not help the lymph to move up. It's pretty critical. And again, the IO is a good element to have, because it will ensure that you are reminded to move this device always upwards towards your chest area, because that's where the lymph needs to go. Right. And what we have done is, when we do this, we're actually seeing some of the cells in the skin, and not just the skin, but also other non-skin cells below the skin surface. They all seem to be affected by this WellSpa movement and electrical current. In fact, we can look, if you look at it, it's like H-log, we do a lot of gene expression science, right? So we can find that the genes relating to the wellness and also the skin health, they're all being activated, if you will, with the use of the WellSpa. And when it happens, it also leads to two other things, and that is the release of this particular substance. And you don't have to worry about it. It's nitric oxide. It's a very important short-lived substance that's being released in blood vessels, and that helps to keep the blood vessels open. So this is an unforeseen benefit too, that we think because of that action, it can also improve microcirculation. This is the blood microcirculation whenever you use the device. So this is just a cross section of the particular skin, looking at it sideways, and these are the lymphatic systems, that's the skin layer, and you can see they're very close and in constant contact with the skin. So when you move the device over, you can see how we can achieve some effect and impact on the particular skin. So what does all this do, right? This is all the science, and this is the reason and the rationale. It's pretty exciting to us because we're the only company right now that can that have achieved a beauty and a wellness totally integrated device. All right, no other device actually in the market right now can achieve this. And some of the early studies, I'll show you some pictures of some of the early studies that we have done with this particular one. And I think the skin is a good, I mean, this in and of itself is already dramatic, right? You can see when you use the WellSpa on the skin, you can see a very significant reduction of cellulite. But what is more exciting for me is the fact that the cellulite, although it's already in and of itself a great benefit, it also is a good indicator of what's happening inside the body. So it's almost like it's a marker of internal wellness as well. So to get this result is pretty exciting to me. So this is some of the clinical studies we've done. I've been talking about cellulite, if you will. You can see a dramatic improvement in cellulite in this individual. And as I mentioned, that this is also a good indicator of what's happening inside the body as well. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So similarly, you can see this lady has a pretty advanced stage of cellulitis, if you will, or cellulite. And again, even in this individual, we can see after week 12, a very dramatic improvement on the skin surface, which once again is an illustration and indication of internal wellness as well. Because cellulite, from many scientific studies, it has been shown that it is due to the fat, and when we smooth out the fat layer, some of the fat cells are being destroyed and taken away, and that is through the lymphatic system. So this is a good indication. So this is what the Asians call the bye-bye fat, right? Mm-hmm. So once again, you can see with the use of the body, with the WellSpa, mm-hmm. that is a great reduction. So it doesn't happen just on the thighs or the back of the thighs. It happens really throughout the body whenever you apply the device. So yeah. I think it's pretty impressive, you know, how this device is performing for us. So we decided, since we have TME coming out in most of the markets and so on, and this is been used within 14 days, and frankly, I mean, the 14 days is not going to be your permanent result. The 14 days it's really, we look upon it as a sampling kit, TME, the 14-day system, and truly you need to go into the 90-day system where the more permanent results, if you will, can be achieved over a period of 3 months rather than just 14 days. But be that as it may, we also wanted to know, when we launch this particular WellSpa, right, and you already have TME going on, what will it do when a person uses both systems? All right. And we've done a study with it. And can you see it? So at the end of the 14 days, we sort of asked the individual, right? Hey, this device you're using with your TME, does it do anything for you? It seems 10 out of 10, when they say these are their responses, we just ask them the question. We never give them the answer. We say, well, how do you feel? Well, it looks like they're coming back with this type of answers, and that is the skin feel energized, it stimulates the skin, you know, they actually feel more balanced and centered. So this is a good indicator of what I've been talking about up to this point. And there's an internal, we never got this kind of feedback before with any of our beauty devices, but with this particular one, it looks like it's doing quite a few things, you know, inside the body as well. And I think I'm pretty confident that when you get this particular device, you're gonna be reacting in a similar fashion. So, and these are just again some of the before and after pictures. After TME, you can achieve with that, and so on. You can see the silhouette or the side view of the body looks much better in the presence of TME, and using of the of this WellSpa.